What's good, y'all? It's Timmy Too Dope. I appreciate y'all clicking on this video and kicking it with me today. Let's talk the Carter 6. Is this album gonna wind up on my album of the year list at the end of the year? I don't think so. Is this album worthy of the Carter name? I don't think so. Did that rumored track list that got leaked on Twitter a couple days before the album came out, is that the album that we ended up getting? Not quite. But is this album as bad as everybody would make it out to seem? Hell no. Let's talk nuance in this video, ladies and gentlemen. I mentioned it in videos before. That is a word that people, especially in the hip-hop space, really have to learn and learn how to apply. Because this is the perfect case study for nuance if I've ever seen it. So first things first, if you were to ask me 5 years ago who the GOAT is, who my personal GOAT is, I would have said Dwayne Carter. I would have said Lil Wayne without a doubt. But in the last couple years, I think his subject matter has gotten repetitive. I really haven't got excited for a Lil Wayne project or a Lil Wayne, single or a drop. I still get excited for features because you could make the argument he might have, stepped back a step or two on features, but I think he still goes hard on features. But add that to the fact of how he handled the whole Super Bowl fiasco. I just think Wayne has been kind of tarnishing his legacy a little bit, in my opinion anyway. I no longer consider him the GOAT. I'm not exactly sure who I would put in that position now, but I don't think it's Lil Wayne anymore. That being said, going into this album, I had tempered expectations, listened to the album, and I left feeling annoyed and underwhelmed. But why is that? I'm going to try to get to the bottom of it in this video. So let's start with the positives first. The beats got a lot of flack, and rightfully so, on a lot of them. And we'll get to which ones I thought were not good in a minute. But the beats I thought were amazing. The Maria beat with the hip-opera going on in the back. Love that. Being Myself with Mannie Fresh, that's just a feel-good beat. You know what I mean? One of my favorite songs on the entire album. I mentioned previously how I thought Wayne's content was getting repetitive. And I still think that holds true. But you cannot deny Wayne was rhyming his ass off. He was rapping his ass off. Again, content matters when it comes to rapping and stuff. But if you can kind of, I want to say suspend that thought of like, damn, he really ain't talking about anything with substance. Wayne rapping his ass off. I think that's pretty undeniable. Most of the collabs were enjoyable, specifically Sean and the dude named Jay Jones on the hip hop joint. Shout out Big X the Plug as well. He didn't have a verse, he had a hook though. And in the hook he said, fuck that hip hop or whatever. I thought that was weird. Why are you saying that? That just, maybe I'm not, connecting the dots. Maybe I might just be a little sensitive on that front, but I don't understand why you said that. But shout out to Jay Jones. No clue who that is. Never heard of him prior to this. He did his thing on that. It definitely has me wanting to look up more of his music for sure. I unironically really enjoy the If I Play Guitar joint, which this album as a whole has been, catching a lot of heat. But this song specifically was like the turning point where I saw a lot of people be like, oh, this album is trash. And this is the point where a lot of people didn't get past because they got halfway through the song and turned it off because they didn't like it. I unironically really fuck with this song. Kind of reminds me of How to Love. Wayne can get kind of annoying when he's in his singing bag, but I thought this was well within his range. I enjoyed it. And then Band from NO, one of my favorite tracks. Loved the Band from TV sample. Sharks was great. As soon as I saw Jelly Roll, Wayne, and Big Sean on a track, I automatically knew that was going to be one of the highlights. Written History was a good outro, but you're going to see at the end of this video, I resequenced some of these songs. I took out certain songs and made my own Too Dope version of the Carter 6, and Written History isn't the outro anymore in my version, but really enjoyed that track. And maybe my favorite track of the whole album, Being Myself, produced by Mannie Fresh. I thought those two, you know, they sounded like they haven't missed a day in the studio together. Now let's get critical. There were a few songs and a few beats or, you know, or that were just unbearable that I had to skip. I got halfway through it, and usually I don't do that. Usually I'll let shit play out because there's many things that can change my mind. Nah, bro. I was just annoyed by them. One of them was the Money Coming In joint, and I really can't think of the other joint, but there was at least 2, maybe 3 that I couldn't make it through. Oh, the Island Holiday joint. What was that, bro? What was that? And then the Days joint with Bono. If I never heard that song again in my life, it would be too soon. That shit was terrible. I was watching Curtis King, shout out to Curtis King. He was saying about that song. He said, "Man, I just know I'm about to create a player to this shit, because this sounds like it could be on Madden, like Madden 06 or some shit like that." And I died laughing because that couldn't be more true. And to be fair, yeah, if he made that song for like sync placements and shit like that, I can't be mad at it. But I'm never gonna listen to that song ever again. What else was there? Moolah Coming In, didn't like. And What Was Going On? Peanuts to Elephants? What was going on with that beat, bro? Who produced that? Oh, that's why. Lin-Manuel Miranda produced the Peanuts and Elephants track on the Carter 6. That's all the explanation I need. Say less. The rumored track list that came out a couple days before the album got released there's a couple songs that were on there, but for the most part, it was nothing like the rumored track list that came out. One of the songs that I heard was a definite, but obviously didn't make the cut, was a track with Warren G. I think DJ Head was talking about there was a track with Lil Wayne and Warren G. Was really looking forward to that. So to not see that track, I was pretty disappointed we didn't get that one. One of the biggest gripes that I have is the sequencing of it. I think the sequencing was just all over the place. It didn't make sense a lot of the times. And I heard rumors that the album was being worked on pretty much up until the last minute. So if that's true, then it's very apparent with the album and the sequencing that we got. I and a lot of other people think Wayne should have locked in with a producer to executive produce it. Someone like Mannie Fresh. Mannie Fresh was the name that everybody was kicking around, and I can't disagree with that. I mean, we heard what they did on Being Myself. Imagine if Mannie, you know, had a hand in sequencing, had a few more joints on there. I think we would have got a lot more cohesive and a lot more enjoyable album if that happened. Another criticism that not just on this album, but I've had for Wayne for a few years now, is that he's been around for 30 years or so, and I feel like I don't know anything about Wayne. I personally would struggle to name you 10 personal things about Wayne. Aside from, like, you know, he has kids or like who he dated or something like that. I mean, he shot himself when he was 13, almost died. And he did a bid in prison. And that's it. And I'm not even trying to be like purposefully dense, but I struggled to come up with 10 personal things about Wayne. If you can, I would honestly be impressed if you could come up with 10 personal things. But you compare that to an artist like Ray Vaughn, who just came out, dropped their debut album, I feel like I know Lil Wayne. I feel like I know Ray Vaughn way more than I know Wayne. Just off that one album by Ray, I feel like he's, you know, a dude that I grew up with on the block or something. Compare that to Wayne, I feel like he's like that like distant cousin that like, you know, like y'all are related, you know what I mean? But like that's about it. You know, he has a couple kids, but like that's about it. You know, he got money, but that's about it. You know, he got on when he was real young, but that's about it. You know what I mean? And I just feel like an artist of Lil Wayne's stature, I feel like just personally, this might be a nitpick. I just want to know more about you. I want to know more about your story. There's a few things he touched on very surface level on this album. I would love to hear him go more on that. Wayno, he made mention of the line about Wayne and talking about his daughter and about how his daughter curves all these lame ass dudes or whatever. He mentioned something I thought would be real dope with like, you know, his daughter raps. So to have him and his daughter on a song going back and forth, you know, talking about growing up and shit, how dope would that be? Like, I don't think we've ever seen that in on any song in history. And I could be wrong, but definitely not with someone of Lil Wayne's stature, you know. Couple more things before I get out of here. I'm dropping a video pretty soon covering Busta Rhymes and J. Cole and the secret connection that they share that not a lot of people talk about. And spoiler, it talks about the fall off. Busta Rhymes has a song called Legend of the Fall Offs where he talks about a rapper coming up through the ranks of fame and then having to deal with this fall off. And if that sounds familiar, it's because J. Cole has been talking about the Fall Off album for a long ass time now. So in that video, I just talk about rappers dealing with their fall off, or what I call it, their post prime, because a lot more artists than not just have a post prime and not a fall off. Yes, there's artists who have fell off. You know, you could say Kanye, you could say, I don't know, insert name a rapper here. I don't want to name names and be super disrespectful, but Kanye deserves that one. But then there's artists like Busta Rhymes who has maintained his quality, but his, you know, production, his output of albums has kind of slowed down, but the quality has never deteriorated. Then you look at somebody like Lil Wayne, who a lot of people are starting to think his legacy is starting to be tarnished a little bit. And a lot of people feel like Lil Wayne's kind of overstaying his welcome, which I'm partially inclined to agree with. But then if you look on the flip side of that, so if Lil Wayne's, if someone like Kanye or whoever just fell off and is just way over here, you got people like Busta Rhymes kind of in the middle who's preserving his value. So he pops up on a feature, you get excited that he's still on that. You know what I mean? You're not going to roll your eyes and be like, oh, this motherfucker here. With Wayne, he's more so towards he's more so towards Kanye, I feel like, where he's kind of overstaying his welcome and people might roll their eyes when they see him pop up on a song. Regardless of how Wayne has really got down on features in the past, at this point, it's like, damn, it's kind of a law of diminishing returns to a lot of people. Then on the other side of things, you got someone like Andre 3000 who just flat out refuses to give us bars at all. And it's very frustrating to a lot of fans. You know what I mean? So I don't know if any of that part made sense to y'all, but it's something I've been thinking about, and I go in deeper detail on that video that should be coming out on the 13th, because that's the anniversary of Busta Rhymes' Big Bang album. I think it's the 19th anniversary or something like that. But last things last. Everybody's been doing a lot of complaining about the Carter 6. I made sure to give it praise at the beginning, but I did my fair share of complaining and bitching. So instead of doing that, I fixed the Carter 6. So I'm not going to play any of these to avoid copyright, but I'll make sure to share this in the description so y'all can go and check this out. But we have what I'm calling, actually, let me pull up. So boom, we got, this is the regular Carter playlist. 19 tracks, hour and 7. King Carter, Welcome to the Carter, Boom, Band from NO, The Days. Y'all see it. Island Holiday still on there. Penis to Elephant, Rari. Boom, okay? Then you have the 2-Dope version. 14 tracks. So I took 5 tracks off. 49 minutes. Way more digestible. For me, 8 to 14 songs. That's the sweet spot. Welcome to the Carter. That's the intro now. I felt like having King Carter at the beginning and then Welcome to the Carter. It felt like 2 intros and it just felt unnecessary. Welcome to the Carter. Right into Band from NO. You keep that energy high. You know what I mean? People know what they're gonna get. Oh shit, it's this Lil Wayne we're getting. Boom. Then into Sharks. Third joint is usually where people put the song that they're most confident in or the song they think might be the biggest. So Sharks on. This last one was the 5th spot. Now it's the 3rd. One of my favorite tracks. I think this track is going to do numbers. Then you got 4. Then you got the ode to LL Cool J. Again, back with the high energy. And Sharks kind of had high energy too. So, you know, you're continuing that same type of energy. But Bells is a little more turned up. Hip hop. Some, you know, Big X the Plug. I don't know who produced this, but it's on some like similar Big X the Plug type production. You get into the 2 Chainz joint, which was a dope joint, but I think was just a College Grove 2 leftover. Then you get into King Carter. Use this as kind of an interlude. It's about a minute and 49. And then it's very like royal sounding. King Carter, you know what I mean? Spin that right into Maria, which has like the hip opera shit. And, you know, continue just feeling big and anthemic and royal. Then you get into Flex Up and Low Key's theme. Just Wayne barring up. You know what I mean? We trying to find a balance here. Now you got Wayne barring up. Boom. Get that into Alone at the Studio, My Gun. Couple other features. MGK, Kodak Black. Some guitar shit. You know what I mean? There's certain songs in here where like the main instrument's a guitar. Y'all know Lil Wayne loves the guitar. Spin that right into If I Played the Guitar. One of my favorite tracks. Bring the energy down a little bit. He's singing to you. He playing guitar now. Written in History, which was the original outro. Wayne barring up, declaring that, you know, he's him, he's the GOAT, whatever. And then end it with Being Myself, my favorite joint on here, which serves as it sounds great as the last track on here with Mannie Fresh. Check it out. I'll try to remember to leave the link in the description. Click the link, give this a listen, 49 minutes. Let me know how you like this version compared to the regular version. That's all I got for today's video. I appreciate y'all kicking it with me today. If you want to stick around on the channel, check out another video popping up right here. And as always, if it's not too dope, then it's probably mids.